Okay, so this presentation is for a recently submitted paper based on my PhD research, which I completed at FGV EBAP in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This will be the second paper. The first one was a literature review, was already published. Well, to start with this research, well, at first we were curious about to what extent the autonomy, political, administrative, and fiscal of the 5,500 Brazilian municipalities can be translated into a different patterns of innovation, and how to explain this. Because at that time, we observed from public data available that some municipalities were moving faster than others, and not necessarily the bigger ones, the capital ones, right? So today's talk focused on how local governments in the Global South, particularly Brazil, develop learning strategies to shape their ability to deliver public innovations, especially in resource-constrained settings. Okay, so citizens expect, right, more from their governments, better services, faster responses, and more transparency. But in Global South, municipalities often lack the capabilities to meet these expectations, right? This one point from the literature. Another point is what's missing in the literature is an understanding of how internal learning, absorptive capacity, routines, codifications, drives innovation when external support is limited. So with that in mind, we draw the following, this question guide the research. In this study, we asked what are the implications of local learning strategies, more specifically, absorptive capacity development and innovation capability accumulation in response to external windows of opportunity. This builds on innovation system theory, but it localized the lens to municipal context, where windows of opportunity can only be leveraged if the municipality has learning mechanisms in place. What are the key concepts behind this research? Well, there are three concepts that shape our approach, right? Capability accumulation takes time and deliberate effort. Absorptive capacity, which includes both acquiring external knowledge and generating internal expertise, and windows of opportunity that create openings for innovation. So in this paper, innovation is not restricted to technological breakthroughs or high-cost digital system. Instead, it is understood as a process of change in municipal service and processes, planned, deliberate, and with the intent to generate new value to citizens, right? Innovation capability accumulation, this concept comes from evolutionary economics and innovation management literature, particularly the works of Bell and Pavitt, and later expanded by Figueiredo. It views innovation not as a one-time event, but as a cumulative process. Capabilities are built over time through deliberate learning, not merely acquired through exposure or routine tasks. We use, in this research, a review capability framework to assess 5 levels of capability, from operational to world leader innovation. This maturity level, we'll see this capability framework later, was validated through expert interviews and adapted for local government functions like taxation, digital service, and procurement. When we talk about dual absorptive capacity, we are talking about absorptive capacity originally introduced by Cohen and Levinthal, refers to the organization ability to recognize, assimilate, and apply external knowledge. This concept was further distinguished between potential absorptive capacity, meaning acquisition and assimilation, and realized absorptive capacity, transformation and exploitation. Figure 8 and Cohen framework introduced a dual perspective in a paper in 2019, combining internal mechanisms like knowledge sharing and with external ones like training, scanning, and hiring. Well, we operationalize this concept through observable learning mechanisms, meaning external and internal mechanisms are not merely listed, right? They are contextualized and empirical traced across the cases. And finally, windows of opportunity describes how change becomes possible when problems, politics, and solutions align. Lee and Malerba took this kingdom's concept, and Figueiredo and Cohen also extend this to the innovation field, right? Consider institutional, technological, and demand windows that create moments when reform is more likely, if obviously organization is ready. We identify these windows using both macro events, like for instance, Brazil's 2013 protest fiscal responsibility law that changed radically the budget operation and application in 2001, digital technology diffusions, etc. And how municipalities perceive and react to them, right? So these three concepts are not isolated, they work together. Windows create pressure or innovate or motivation. Absorptive capacity development provides capacity to learn, and innovation capability accumulation ensures institutionalization and delivery. So that's why our research question ties this concept together. Okay? All right, so the theoretical framework, what we are specifically looking in this research is illustrated in this figure. We can see that external pressures, windows of opportunity, technological, institutional, or demand-related, only lead to innovation outcomes when mediated by internal learning strategies. So these learning strategies, in turn, accumulate innovation capabilities that can be visualized in a maturity framework. So the mediator is learning here. Without codification, collaboration, and training, pressure becomes noise. With it, pressure becomes purpose, right? Other piece of this framework is the capability levels framework, right? So this is illustrated in 5 levels, right? This was adapted from literature. It maps how local governments evolve from basic operational capability level 1 in orange in this figure to leading innovation capabilities, the top world leading level 5, by progressively accumulating knowledge and learning from internal and external sources. This maturity model builds on theories of technological capability accumulation and organizational learning, particularly tailored for public sector. It intentionally avoids, this is very important, it intentionally avoids traditional innovation proxies like patents or R&D expenditure, which often miss the reality of municipal learning process. To operationalize this framework, we apply a revealed capability approach. We assess what level governments can actually do based on this complexity, of the innovations, of novelties they've implemented, right? Each level builds on the last. So this specific capability framework, it's colored 1, relates to the theoretical framework as external pressures, technological, again, institutional and demand-related, only lead to innovation outcomes when mediated by the internal learning strategies. These learning strategies, in turn, accumulate innovation capabilities visualized in these levels maturity framework, all right? So this figure helps understand how much innovation capability a municipality has. The final piece of this theoretical framework is related to the learning mechanisms, right? This table lays out the core learning mechanisms that underpin a municipality capacity to innovate, right? It draws from established theory, particular absorptive capacity, and adapt it to public sector context. We categorize into internal and external learning strategies. Internal includes mechanisms like on-the-job training, routine reflection, and codification practice, which are crucial for building institutional memory and capability, and external ones that involves reaching beyond the organization through benchmarking, citizen engagement, or partnerships, right? These external ones allow government to absorb context and knowledge, increasing responsiveness and relevance, right? Our theoretical framework shows that innovation outcomes depend on how local government respond, right, to external pressures, not directly, again, but through the mediation of learning mechanisms that they are represented in this table. So this table becomes our diagnostic tool in our fieldwork. We use it to identify which learning mechanisms were present, how often they were used, and how strategically they were applied. This in turn help us position each municipality along the capability levels from this figure. All right. Okay, so we use we gather evidence from almost 50 interviews, document analysis, follow-up surveys. We opted for a ground in-depth case study approach. Each city offered a different learning profile, allowing us to contrast how strategies evolve and influence innovation. We selected these three municipalities specifically because they reflect varied socioeconomic profiles, institutional maturity, and innovation trajectories. The focus on financial and administrative service allowed for controlled scope within which innovation processes could be traced to comparable functional domains, right? The three municipalities are located near São Paulo city capital and have high human development indicators. It is important to note that Brazilian context, that there is a Brazil decentralization means municipalities can innovate, right? But they vary greatly in how they do this. Some are highly capable, others struggle. This diversity creates a powerful natural experiment. It's important also Brazil's federal structure grants legal and administrative autonomy to the municipalities. That means each city in Brazil, we're talking about 5,500, manage its own budget, hires its own staff, and can independently pursue innovation. However, this also results in great disparities in innovation capability. All right. So the windows of opportunity we have, from institutional perspective, we have an important landmark fiscal responsibility law, which established more restricted budget execution and planning for all the municipalities. Also, anti-corruption drives. From the demand side, we have the 2013 street protests, a lot of transparency movements, and from digital technology, we have the digital transformation and the smart city incentives, right? These windows it's important to know that these windows don't guarantee innovation, right? But they pressure local governments to act, and how they respond depends on their internal learning maturity. We identify these windows of opportunity by analyzing contextual documents, media reports, interview data. These events represent clear inflection points, this is very important, where cities were pressured or inspired to change. The response depends also, again, of the internal learning readiness. Let's talk about a little bit about the findings. Well, the findings, case one, Americana. Well, we identified weak internal learning, meaning they managed to arrive to level 2 of capability of basic innovation. Basically, Americana showed limited investment in learning, right? Innovation happened, but they were mostly compliance-based and reactive, with little lasting institutional change. They had minimal formal learning structures. Codification and knowledge sharing were rare. Innovations were mostly reactive to external rules. For instance, a new tax registry system was adopted, but it wasn't integrated into a broader digital service strategy. We could identify 9 innovations, but again, mainly incremental and reactive change. The second case, Mogi das Cruzes, well, we could identify moderate learning mechanisms. We can also classify in level 3 capability with intermediate innovations, right? Mogi das Cruzes showed a stronger intent, right? They invested in staff training and strategic planning tools. Innovation was still limited, but more focused and deliberate, right? We could identify 14 innovations with a strong focus on service and administrative process. And finally, the third case, Jundiaí. Well, Jundiaí had a strong dual absorptive capacity and codification. They managed to achieve level 4 of capability in advanced innovation. They basically institutionalized learning. They created a culture of experimentation and reflection, linking citizen input with organizational routines. We could identify 18 innovations balanced across administrative, digital, service, and communication innovations. All right. So for a comparative analysis, what we have here, let me walk you through this figure 4, a shaded matrix. It's a key comparative matrix in this study, right? What this figure does is map each municipality across 2 dimensions. First, learning strategy. This includes both the intensity of learning efforts and the diversity of mix of mechanisms employed, right? And the other dimension is innovation capability, measured through the level and novelty of innovations delivered over time, the ones that I mentioned just before. How the figure was built. So this figure 4 right there. So we assessed learning strategies based on qualitative coding of interview data and document review. Learning mechanisms were categorized, example, training, codification, on-the-job learning, etc., and scored based on how many mechanisms were used and how systematically, right? Innovation capability was categorized using the 5-level model adapted from the literature. Okay, so applied obviously to public innovation context. How to read this figure? Well, first, Americana used few learning mechanisms, right? Mostly ad hoc and reactive, resulting in basic, this is the first figure in the top, resulting in basic operational improvements. Mogi das Cruzes, the last, the right, employed a more deliberate mix. Example, staff training and cross-department collaboration or secretariat, leading to target service innovations, right? And Jundiaí, in the middle, implemented a comprehensive learning strategy, including internal codification, design thinking, and external collaboration, enabling complex and citizen-facing innovations. Like, for instance, they were among the ones in all municipalities in Brazil. They actually have an municipality management system, integrated management system. It's similar to ERP for the private sector, but for municipalities. So what's the broader takeaway here? Is that more structured, intense, and diverse learning mechanisms are clearly linked to higher levels of innovation delivery. In a way, this figure captures the heart of the study, meaning learning isn't just an input, it's a core engine of public sector innovation. All right. What are the contributions to research? Fills global South knowledge gap, extends absorptive capacity theory to local governance, and emphasize intra-organizational learning. These contributions are important because they shift the focus from global north models to real-world practice in developing contexts. They also deepen our understanding of how learning translates into innovation beyond formal R&D. The practical implications. Well, capability building should be intentional, right? You don't need a Silicon Valley budget to innovate. You need learning pathways, openness to feedback, and supportive leadership. Even modest municipalities can innovate meaningfully if they align learning with opportunity. National and regional policies should prioritize capability mapping and support low-cost learning infrastructures. Well, to wrap up, innovation is cumulative and context sensitive. It requires more than external pressure. It demands internal resilience and learning. Opportunity plus capability equals innovation delivery. So thank you so much for your attention. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions.